welcome everybody. This is Drew Kaplan, real estate agent with Keller Williams Advisors Realty. I'm excited to have Rob Knarr join us this week. He is with Clayson Consulting. He is a residential structural engineer. Welcome back, Rob.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. So in a previous episode, you talked about most frequent issues that you come across in your inspections with structural engineering. And we're going to focus this time, I know you mentioned, especially on issues that come up with people not pulling permits on certain projects, right?
Yeah, that's a very interesting one. So obviously in the building code, there's, you can do, renovations, additions, type of stuff like that. But a lot of time you still have to do a permit for that, especially if there's a structural modification. And there's a lot of times where a contractor will oversell to their client, hey, we can do this. We've done it a million times in the last 30 years and stuff, and nothing's ever fallen down. They keep using the same stuff on job to job, and and eventually they get in trouble where the building department finds out and they have to get me to come in and try to save the day. A lot of times I'll come into the project and I'll have a letter from the building department where the contractor is basically, man, hey, save me. I oversold myself to my client. I need you to come in and help me. So I'll basically look at what they've done and what they've put in, and then I'll run the loads like it's supposed to be done and say, okay, this is what it should have been. And then I'll, put a drawing in, and sometimes I got to take out what they put in and put back what they should have done. And, or sometimes I come in, I'm like, you know what you did is semi-okay, but we need to do these couple things. And like I said, it's all about making sure the building department gets what they need to help protect the life and safety of everybody. Because a lot of times people will do the work and they'll be like, it's my house, it's not a big deal. Well, it's not a big deal when you own it, but when you go to sell it, the next person is in there and they may want to do something different to what you did. And then, so you got to have a good trail of permits. But like I said, the most important is whenever there's a structural modification, you're technically supposed to get a building permit. And a lot of people don't, unfortunately. And that's where I come in and help save the day sometimes for contractors.
So what are some common ones that you run across?
So a lot of times if they're, a lot of the houses are built in the 60s, 50s, 60s, and 70s with the compartmental rooms. Now everybody wants some open floor plans. So a lot of times everybody wants to open up walls, load-bearing walls, and it can be done, but there have to be beams got to be put in to make sure that the loads from above get transferred down to the base below. That's a very common one now. I also get additions. If people are going to build an addition on the back or side of their house, they're going to open up the back wall or a side wall in order to do that. Or a lot of times people have some decks. Where they're going to put they want to put a 3-season room on it or put like a roof on their existing deck. That's a very common one too, or like an open air. But, those decks weren't designed for that additional structure. And a lot of times I got to come in and kind of do some framing modification design to help to make that work. I always say nothing's impossible when you get an engineer involved. It's just that sometimes it costs a little more money to make it right. And that's the most important part, is that people can build stuff all day long, and but it's got to be right, and it's got to be to the building code, and that's the most important part. And that's why there's a permit process, and so
that's great, and that's why we had people like you also.
Exactly. I love architects too. Architects can, residential, the building code set up where architects can provide a design and do that, and engineers can do the same thing. So either of us can use our stamp on a residential project. But the most important thing is, like you said, is people like architects and engineers are in business to help protect people from themselves sometimes.
That's really great. That's really great.
Yeah.
All right. So Rob, thank you so much again for joining us. And I enjoyed it. I learned a lot, and I hope folks out there learned a lot as well. So thank you so much, Rob.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it, Drew. Thank you.
All right. My pleasure. Thank you so much.